Boom! What's up, everybody? We back. It's not Tuesday where we normally record. It's a Friday because Kane wanted a Tuesday.
My dog's going mental upstairs.
Dogs are fighting upstairs. Kane wanted a Tuesday off. Thanks for letting me have a Tuesday off.
That's all right.
I needed it.
I called you a little bitch.
You did. I needed some rest. I needed some rest and some wifey time.
Some wifey time.
That's a wifey time. How are you?
Good. I'm tired, man. This week has been busy.
Busy.
In a good way, though.
You can just leave it on us for a bit.
I'm trying to get used to being able to
Okay.
talk and switch
And
between
flip
the
back and
camera.
forth, okay.
For those who are listening, I've got a switchboard in front of me, which is 2 cameras. So I'm trying to talk and press buttons at the same time.
I'm trying to be clever and
I'm
creative.
trying to be clever.
It's like, we're there. For the viewers. Hey, switch it. Hey, switch it. Hey, one more time. How you doing?
How you doing? How you doing?
That's gonna get weird to get used to, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. How are you? How's life? How's your week?
Yeah, super
I
busy.
feel like I've not seen you in ages.
I know, it's been like slightly more than a week.
Because we didn't do the
podcast.
the program, the program or the podcast.
I missed you.
I missed you. I spoke to you every day, but I missed you. Nah, it's been weird. What did I do this Sunday instead? Oh, I taught for Louis Spence's masterclass this week. I went all the way to Newcastle. That was lovely. Lovely experience. Newcastle's far.
Newcastle is far.
Newcastle's really far.
How long did it take you?
I stopped off to pick up another teacher called Catherine in Birmingham, so that added on a bit of time. But I want to say 4.5 hours.
That's quite a long way to drive, isn't it?
Yep.
That's a lot of coffee breaks.
2.
That would have been at least 4 for me.
Yeah, I know.
One an
I
hour.
had a guest in the
Oh,
car.
yeah, it makes it so much easier, doesn't it?
Do you know what, though? I come up with it. So I'd never met this lady before. She's a musical theatre performer and teacher. Her name's Catherine. I'm probably going to get on the podcast at some point. I want to say her last
Where is
name.
she? Birmingham.
No, I picked her up in Birmingham. She's from London, but the trains were dog shit.
Right.
So basically, she couldn't get the train to Newcastle and back because the trains were horrendous. And they were like over £200 a ticket. And so the organizer of the Louis Spence masterclass thing, not Louis, messaged me being like, would you be able... You're right, mate.
Yeah, I've lost the
remote.
the remote. Whatever, camera's up there. I'll get it in a minute.
The organizer was like, would you be able to pick her up en route? Like, you don't have to. And I was like, you know, I'm not really up for normally picking up strangers in my car, like, especially female ones when I have a fiancé. Like,
I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's not really a good look. And I was like, but like, this is a performer. If she doesn't do this, like, I don't know, she might not be able to pay her bill. Like, if that was me and I had lost a wage just because trains were a bitch, like,
You'd be
I'd
mad.
be gutted.
Yeah.
So I was like, yeah, no worries, I'll meet her in Birmingham. I think her name's Catherine Burns. It's really bad if I don't know her name after I sat in the car for like 10 hours with her. And thank goodness she wasn't a weirdo. She was
That'd be the worst.
Dude, she was actually... Imagine like sitting in the car for silence the whole way with someone you don't know.
So awkward.
Uh-oh.
You just, you know when you slightly turn the volume up in a car?
Yeah.
You're just like, that's your cue, isn't
Yeah.
it? I don't want to talk anymore.
It's awkward. Like, well, you know me, I'm a fucking chatty Cathy. But so is she. Her name is Cathy.
Chatty Bland.
Yeah. That was really like a dad joke, innit?
Yeah.
But no, we had a great time, like super like get to know. And then when we got there, I was like, I come up with a great concept for a TV show.
Right? What,
Like-
you two collabed on a TV show idea?
No, I came up with it on my own, but she was part of the thinking of the creation.
Right.
Like, you have to pick up a stranger or who you're going to date and drive like from wherever you are to like
Right.
Scotland together in a car with
Okay.
no music, and it gets filmed. And that's your date.
that's your date.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's hard.
Dude,
No
we
distractions.
but we had dope conversation.
Right.
Like, we had bants. Like, we both would have fully been cancelled. Because we were just making the most silly jokes in the world. But, like, we had so much fun. Like, it was just so cool. I was like, I've never met this person before. And by the time we got to where we were going, I was like, she's freaking dope. Like, we had a fun time.
You're best friends now.
Literally besties. So I was like, that's a dope idea
Let's
for a
get on the
TV show.
podcast.
Like, you got karaoke carpool or carpool karaoke. What about, like, I don't know, date and drive?
Date and drive.
Date and drive.
I like it. Get a signer. Get signed on.
Sounds
Do
like
you know anyone in the TV industry?
Yeah, actually.
Do you?
Yeah.
Do you know a producer for, I don't know who you'd speak to, an executive someone? Technical terms.
Maybe we should cut this out. No one steal my idea. I'm full of ideas lately.
Oh, yeah.
all the ideas. But yeah, do you like the idea, Date and Drive?
I do like the idea of Date and Drive.
Solid idea. So yeah, that happened.
I mean, there's so much shit on TV, isn't there? It's like Naked Attraction, all that.
yeah, we
malarkey.
put it on YouTube.
Yeah, fuck TV.
Get 100 views.
110 if we're really
110
lucky.
if you're lucky. Yeah. So yeah, taught for Louis Spencer's masterclass. That was fun. Josh Warmby was there, which was lovely to see him. Nice to teach new people, I guess. There goes.
Was it live classes? Yeah, as in not on TV camera.
No, it was just like
Because you did something like that quite recently.
yeah,
didn't
for
you?
Can You Dance, they
Yeah,
did
yeah.
like pre-record. No, it was live. It was good. Thank you, Louis, for having me, and Nick, the organizer. It was a lovely time. Drove back Monday performers, lovely day at performers. But actually, I stayed in a hotel
in Birmingham.
in Birmingham, so that made my day way better.
Yeah, I'm
Instead
sure
of,
that cut off a lot of the time, didn't it?
Well, it saved me like 2.5 hours of driving.
Nice. That's quite a lot.
It was a massive win.
I spent
And other
my-
than that, done fuck all.
Done
You've
fuck
been
all.
busy.
I've been busy. So Sunday I was in Southampton with Hannah Levitt. Is that right? No. Yes, Levitt. Yeah, for HLC company.
I'm sure her name's Hannah Levitt Collins.
Yeah, it's a double
HLC.
barrel. And filmed like a concept video with her. That was challenging.
Why?
Because I didn't know what I was stepping into.
The dance studio.
Yeah, oh, no shit, Sherlock. But as in like what I was filming, like I didn't know. I'm gonna throw my fucking coffee in a minute. But
Which
as in,
one?
hey,
Your Greg's one or your Costa one?
both.
Ah.
Yeah, as in, I feel like it was very much like trying to work out how to make it happen in post whilst in live.
Because I guess that's
recording.
your first time filming like a music video-esque.
Yeah, but it's just because there was no like thought about it before.
As in, you
'Cause
weren't
I didn't know-
briefed or you hadn't thought about it.
No, I didn't know what the choreo was. I didn't know like
Oh,
what.
I see,
I
I
didn't know
see.
the setting. I didn't know how I wanted the lighting, etc.
Yeah.
So it's just very much like right, let's work it out.
So did you
So
like
it's very brain consuming. It wasn't hard. It was just required thought.
a lot of thinking?
Yeah.
Which you don't like it.
No, I'm done.
Did you...
and that wasn't a Hannah fault for the record. It was like so it was a 2-day intensive, and on day 3 they filmed.
Oh, dope.
So they rehearsed for 2 days and they filmed on the
So
third.
did you have any idea? So you hadn't seen the choreo before you got there?
I got it just before I was getting into bed. The
Nice.
night before. So I looked at it and I was like, right.
So you looked at it, didn't think about it and went to bed. Nice. Fair
I
play.
looked at it, thought about it again. I have no idea what I'm going to do tomorrow. We'll figure it out.
When you got there, did they rehearse a few times for you to be like, oh, I could do it like this? Or did you just go,
Like-
bam, let's film?
Once or twice.
Nice.
But there's a bit of a, yeah, you can kind of work out what you're going to do. It's more about how I was just transitioning from place to place.
Did you enjoy it?
Really enjoyed it. Yeah, really nice to film something very different. Something that required a lot of thought. I like being challenged, so it's like, yeah, it's an environment that I like. And it's good. And then I went home and edited it straight away. So it was a good 15-hour day Sunday. Left at like 6:30 a.m. I probably didn't stop working until 10 at night.
Buy a camera and be a videographer, he said.
He didn't say.
No, you did.
I said not to be a videographer.
You bought a camera and asked if you could film my things.
Yeah, as like practice. I didn't think it was going to go
Practice
to
for what?
the next company.
Fair play.
I bought it so I could promote my companies better.
Yeah.
And now it's turned into a
gig.
separate
But
company.
you enjoy it.
Yeah, I love it.
Like,
I'm not complaining. It
And
was
you're
just
good at
so.
you get to film attractive people all the time on camera.
It's a great job.
It's a great job.
It is a great
It's
job.
a great job.
But it wasn't something
It's not
that.
like you're at Slimming World, like having to film
Do you
their
hear me
dance
complaining?
breakdown. No.
So shut the fuck up.
No offense, people at Slimming World.
I wouldn't work a sleeping mod either. But it wasn't a planned transition in my life. I didn't think, oh, you know what, I'm going to be a videographer.
Yeah.
It just kind of went that way.
Yeah, it's the way it works.
And now I've spent my life savings on camera equipment, which was surrounded by now.
Surrounded by. And every time you set them up, you go, this camera stresses me out.
every time.
Nice.
But I love it.
Killing it. Did you, we won't go into too much depth because no one will care by the time this is out. But can you believe Will Smith left Chris Rock?
Dude, I love it. Again, it just goes to show the state of humanity, how offended everyone is in both directions. Everyone's so like, oh my God, it's the end of the world. It's like,
Well,
a dude
I've
slapped
got
another
so
dude.
many different takes on it.
Go on, enlighten me.
Well, first of all, like there's people dying in Ukraine, so let's get the fuck over Will Smith and Jada Smith's issues.
Yep.
Like, so that's my big like overall thought is like, who gives a fuck? Why are we so outraged by
This is the
by
issue. Everyone
one
gives a
billionaire
fuck.
slapping another billionaire? Like,
It's great entertainment in my eyes.
but do you know what I mean? Like, we're so offended by one billionaire slapping another billionaire. Also, the one place you never thought you'd see. The one thing you never
in
thought you'd
Oscars.
see
Yeah,
is
yeah.
Will Smith
Slapping.
slapping someone at the Oscars. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, there's more of a chance of winning the lottery.
Yeah.
Genuinely, like, you'd never think that would happen.
No, I think it's just like, why are we... I mean, is it just because it's a good conversation for debate, or is it, why is everyone so like
Because we
outraged?
care more about celebrities and,
we do
like, and
anything
the
else.
media than we do anything else in the world. Hence, we're still talking about it. But it's just what it is. And I guess it's the one thing that we all are like, we all feel like we know these people because we watch them on TV so much.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
we
yeah.
feel like we're part of the story.
Like
maybe.
personally connected to
Yeah.
them. Yeah. Which is what we're trying
and
to do
we've never
with you.
seen and we've never seen Will Smith in this light. Like, that's what's crazy. He's like, to me, he's like everyone's, from a child, like from his Fresh Prince of Bel-Air days to like recent times, he's like everyone's hero. Like, no one's got a bad word to say about him. Like, he's the public like hero.
Did you watch his YouTube thing? He did like a lose X amount of pounds in X amount of time
No.
YouTube series. It's good, but it really showed a different light to him.
Oh, but
and it
this is what I'm
showed
saying.
what to me, like watching that, I could see how it ended up with him slapping.
Well, and Jada Pinkett Smith has been throwing him under the bus for the however long, like out in all their public life on her podcast, like the round table being like, I've been sleeping with other guys and like making him insuperior, and like they're in an open relationship and saying about everyone she sleeps with. Like, he doesn't say who he sleeps with
No,
because he respects her that way. But then she
open
says,
relationship.
yo, everyone each of their own. And you know what? If they can make it work, fair
I
play to them.
can do it.
No, me either.
No way.
No way. No
That's
way.
not why we're here today.
No, but like he's constantly been like thrown under the bus, embarrassed, and now he's like done this. It's like over the past 5 years, our whole perception of Will Smith is like gone
Completely changed.
completely changed. Like, he's no longer the funny guy from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
No.
He's the guy who's
Slap someone.
an inadequate male because his wife goes somewhere else.
Yeah.
Like, not saying he is, but that's like a perception.
Yeah, perception.
And then she outs him on her podcast all the time. or
I
whatever.
haven't seen any of this.
I've
so I
only
can't-
seen clips of it.
Right.
And then he goes and slaps a comedian. I know Chris Rock isn't like full on like Joe Rogan comedian, because he is still in Hollywood and he still does films. So it's Hollywood bullshit as always. But like, he is at the end of the day a comedian, and like, you just can't go slapping people for like telling jokes. Like, you can't go slapping people, period. I do believe like we're in a world where there's no consequences to stuff. Like, the only consequences people get is cancelled, whereas I do feel like sometimes people maybe deserve a bit of a clip around the back of the head. But like, you know, it was obviously a joke.
Right.
Obviously. Like, I don't know the backstory about it. But
Well, this is
I'm
this
like,
is
your
it.
reaction.
What's the backstory?
Well, you know, she's got alopecia. I didn't know she had alopecia. Like, so yeah, maybe it is an insensitive joke. And apparently Chris Rock says he didn't know she had alopecia. But still, the right thing to do, like, you can react. Like, you could have said, like, you could have shouted, yo, don't talk about my wife. Or like,
Yeah.
you could have like,
But to go up and
you could have
slap
gone
her.
up on stage and said something. You don't go on stage and hit a man. Like, but all it did to me was highlight how incredible Chris Rock is. My fan and like my lust for Chris Rock as an artist or a celebrity or a comedian tripled.
Really?
I was like, you just took that slap like a boss. Like, you got hit and then you carried on.
Yeah. Professionalism.
But if I was, I think what he should have done, if he he should have doubled down. He should have been like,
Slap the motherfucker.
no, we're not getting him back. Chris
Jumped on
Rock
his
is
back.
tiny compared to Will Smith. But like, what he should have done is double down and start telling more jokes.
Yeah.
Telling more jokes. Be like, oh, okay, this is what we're doing. Like, double down.
Double down. Anyway,
Anyway, so that's the Oscars. I thought that was interesting this week.
what are we talking about today?
Today's episode, we are talking about what makes a good coach or teacher.
I'm not slapping your students.
No, yeah. What makes a good coach / teacher? I think there are multiple things which go into this, and you know, the answer is always, for me, in most topics, it always comes back to it depends. Remember that all that equipment you bought that you forgot to use, so you had to move again.
Shut up.
It's okay, you fixed it. Like, the answer always comes back to it depends. But for me, like, let's start with a good teacher. What's your intentions on teaching? Why do you want to be a teacher? That's already a good place to start, I guess. Like, are you teaching because you love teaching? Are you teaching because you like helping people? Are you teaching because you feel like you have something to offer or something to give? Or are you just doing it for a quick buck?
Quick buck and a bit of ego.
You know what I mean? Like, if it's for the quick buck and a bit of ego, like, you're probably not already starting off with your
Right
best
mentality.
foot, right mentality, your best foot forwards. You're probably not going to be as invested in being a better teacher as you should be, because you're looking at it as a monetary thing, not a I love this thing, or I want to love this thing. Secondly, like, let's start with like how your class, like, say, let's go through like a class. Like, when your students arrive, like, are you on time? Like, to me, if a teacher is late for their class, like, you know, once or twice, like, over a long period of time, it's forgivable. But if it's a regular, like, you're already setting a poor example to your students. Do you know what I mean? You're already setting a bad example. You're already showing or teaching something that is not okay.
You're leading by the wrong examples.
Yes, exactly. So, like, it starts from as soon as you enter the room. Like, when you come in, are you early? Are you on time, or are you late?
And well prepared.
Yeah. Like, I think all those things are a huge first introduction to the class or to the environment. Because I know when I've been in like class and the teacher turns up late and they're all flustered and stressed, it affects the beginning of the class.
Oh, it affects the way they teach, for sure.
Or if they come in late and they don't give a fuck and they don't care, it affects my perspective on them, because I'm like, you don't care about the money I'm giving you. Do you know what I mean? I see it that way. Like, if you pay for a taxi and they say I'll be here at 6 o'clock and they come at 10 past 6, 6:30, you'd be pissed. To me, it's the same thing. So already you're setting examples for the room as an educator from the jump. Do you know what I mean? When you come in the room, what energy are you bringing as a teacher? Are you coming in a bad mood? Are you bringing all your troubles from outside? Like, if you are, it's not really setting a good example, because you wouldn't want the student to come in a bad mood and bring all their troubles. Like, you have to be able to come in and be like, you're the power source for the room. You're the one that's guiding the room. You're the giver. You have to be the one that's like, no matter what's happened outside, like, you have to come in and be like, what's up, guys? Like, you have to put on a front.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
100%.
You have to act, because in this moment, it's not about you anymore. It's about the X amount of people in front of you and you giving them love and sharing information, right? Obviously, everyone has bad days and stuff, but I feel like if you bring in your bad energy into the room as a teacher, or your problems, it's going to rub off on those students.
Oh, yeah.
Then for me, like, a warm-up, man. Like, as a teacher, like, there's so many teachers, and I'm not saying they're bad teachers, because they're great teachers or they're great choreographers and they make great steps, but like, people don't give the class a warm-up. Like, to me, I feel like that's part of the teaching experience for me as a teacher. Like, maybe some teachers don't like doing warm-ups because they feel like there's no benefit to it, like, other than getting your body warm, which, you know, a student, if you're a good student, you should be able to not rely on just the teacher to get your body warm. You should be early and kind of preparing to dance yourself. But like, I treat a warm-up as in, well, you know, you've done a million of my warm-ups.
I've done a million. It's a
like,
technique.
It's like,
It's a teaching section.
Yeah, I'm
It's
not just making your
warm.
body warm. We're not like doing some star jumps or like jumping on the spot. Like, we're doing dance moves. We're practicing how to execute simple things like a two-step or a grapevine or a box step. And then we start doing a couple of Bart Simpsons and Biz Marquis, and sometimes I'll teach you how to do it. Like,
well, also the structure of your warm-up is you're creating how to create texture.
Or how to create texture, how to create movement quality,
groove and
how to
whatever.
understand weight transfers, all things that are going to, like a 15, 20-minute warm-up of all things that are going to carry across
To the choreo.
to help you. It might not be direct correlation, like this is a move that we're doing in the routine, but it's going to carry across to help you execute movements within the routine, or help the movement quality that you're going to need within the routine. So I think that's my perspective on a warm-up. And all the people I've learned from the most, they all deliver like really good warm-ups. You know, like Cisco does a thorough warm-up. Kimberly Taylor does a thorough warm-up. Like Alex Shorndorf does a warm-up. Like John Graham does a warm-up. Marco does a warm-up. Like, they're all people to me who are like fantastic educators. Like, I think they are some of the best teachers I've ever learned from or been in the studio with.
And I think it doesn't just warm the body up, it warms the mind up.
It
sets the tone of like what's about to happen.
That was my next thing.
You know?
It also makes your brain start like like John's warm up, which I've taken huge influence and inspiration from, is like he gives you like coordination challenges or like games where you have and rhythms and stuff like that, where it makes your brain have to think. It makes your brain have to think, right? It's not just about like copy me. We're gonna do this bounce. Like there's things where your brain has to work out 2 different coordinations or rhythm patterns. All these things are helping your brain problem solve. They're helping your brain figure stuff out. They're making you a smarter dancer, as opposed to just going, let's jog on the spot. Here's some star jumps. Here's some sit-ups.
100%. It's kind of like for me in the PT world, I always do particular muscle activations.
Yeah.
Because I want the glutes to fire better. I want the rotator cuffs to fire better, etc., etc. It's exactly the same in carryover. It's like, what...
I'm trying to fight, yeah.
What are you warming up to carry over into?
Yeah, it's like, so in the PT
like
world.
rhythm patterns or whatever.
Yeah,
you know, it's like,
I don't call it warming up, I call it priming.
Oh, that's a good word. I like that.
Like, because warming up just means to get warm, whereas priming to me means like I'm getting it ready to like start activating. Like I'm activating the glutes. Like I'll do a priming exercise before I go and do a heavy squat. I'm not just going to go in and start doing heavy squats without engaging the muscles I want to use. Target.
Right, yeah.
You know what I mean? So like the same thing, like with dance, I guess I'm trying to prime your brain to start picking up stuff. So I give you little challenges to get your brain into working mode, as opposed to just going, here you go, stress.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm warming you into it.
My name's Kane and I'm 1 EN, 2 EN.
Yeah. 7 and an 80 and a 9. Like
and a 9?
And a 9. I'm really trying to fuck you up today. So yeah, that's what I think. Like the warm up is like really, really important. So I think all the best educators I've learned from always do like a solid warm up. Like I said, it's not just about the physical aspect, the mental aspect too.
And I think kind of reading back to what you said about your first impressions, not your first, but like the way you walk into a room. I can't remember the exact statistic, but something like you make your first impression with the first 7 seconds of meeting someone. And it takes quite a long time to change that perception. I'm not saying this obviously just in a dance class, but like
in life.
In life, if you meet someone, make sure your first 7 seconds is solid. And I think, as you said, that energy you introduce yourself with will dictate how your students perceive and relate to you throughout the whole class.
Exactly.
If you're just like, hi, my name's Kane. Today we're going to be learning Mario. It's not engaging. It's not exciting.
Yeah.
But if you with a big smile and, or like, instantly when you're dealing with like an egotistical teacher.
Yes, 100%.
Versus a giver.
Yeah,
you know? Someone who wants to take versus someone who wants to give.
I agree. What else makes a good teacher? I think obviously being able to deliver the information that you're asking the students to learn in multiple manners, multiple ways.
My next point was different communication skills.
As opposed to just going, these are the counts. Because not everyone can learn with counts. Some people might need counts. Some people might need rhythm patterns. Some people might need lyrics. Some people might need like sounds.
And sounds. So if I'm in the back of your class, I'm going boom ta ta ta. Like I make the noises up as I
beatbox
as I learn. Yeah. No, I'm terrible at beatboxing.
Boom ting.
But I make stupid noises because I go, oh, that noise sounds like this.
Yeah. So like I'm sure you've noticed, like what I try to do is if I don't know the counts and I don't know all the lyrics, say I know one or the other, I speak those counts or those lyrics with the execution. Yeah. So I'll be like
3 and a 4.
3 and a 4 and a 5 and 6 and a 7 and 8 1. Like I'll drag it out because I want you to drag it out. Like,
and it makes you understand the movement, doesn't it? Like to me, the moment someone does it, I go, oh, I know what the texture or the dynamic of that movement means.
Because in my head, we're trying to be the visual representation.
Whether I can do it or not, it's a different story. But
we're trying to be the visual representation of the sound, of the music, right? So I think a good teacher can deliver in multiple ways. And I'm not saying they have to be incredible at all of them, but you have to be able to at least try and offer it. Don't just go, this is the one that we're doing.
This is the one.
Sometimes I'll ask, what does everyone want? Lyrics, counts, or noises? You know what I mean? I'll ask the room what they're finding easier, especially if something is like musically quite challenging. Like some people, when it's like a lot of counts or a lot of numbers, they're like, and a what? Like it's too much for their brains. So they need like just some sound effects or lyrics or a rhythm. So I think being able to give different options is a good thing.
And I think being able to make like information feel relatable. For example, I can't pick an example, but something that I do in the PT world is I try to relate it to a sport that they might understand. Think of this as a golf swing. Think of this as a
Yeah.
You know, as a rugby scrum, et cetera, et cetera. And I think like teachers that do that in dance well go, oh, think about putting your seatbelt on. You know,
Yeah.
it's like you instantly go, when it gets to that section, you go, oh, I know what I'm doing now.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, you're finding a metaphor of, or analogy of
like, and
what the
being able
movement is.
to, I guess find analogies for people to relate to stuff. Like when I'm trying to talk to people about using their hips instead of keeping their hips square to the front, like their hips and their shoulders, because a lot of people dance very two-dimensional and very square. So I'll always use like the analogy, like imagine you're a lorry and you've got headlights on your hips and on your shoulders. I don't want all your lights to face forward at the same time. I want you to be utilizing your torso and moving them in different directions and different dynamics. I was like, so it should look like Disneyland, not like a lorry facing forward. You know what I mean? Like it should look like a light show.
I like that.
Like, because there should be constant like movement throughout your torso, which make your hips and your shoulders move in different directions, as opposed to being square and two-dimensional. We want it to have like a three-dimensional like aspect to it. So finding different analogies, do you know what I mean? Like find like, even if it's little things like on this moment, we're going to like warp, like imagine you're in the Matrix for a count. Just little things where people go, oh, I can understand what it means. Like,
and I think sometimes that one sentence can really be a click moment for like how to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think I got that. My teacher at college, she used to use a lot of analogies. Like, so she's fantastic at making you understand things that are like out of your ability to just use normal like description to use. Because like when I went, I was very, very beginner. You know what I mean?
Right.
And she would explain like the importance of a plie. And she'd explain why a plie isn't just bending your legs and straightening them. And like, she used this great analogy and I still use it now. She's like, imagine your plie, like you use it to like generate power. So imagine I had a bow and arrow.
You're putting it back.
You're pulling it back as far as you can
to
generate as much force as possible to shoot that bow and arrow as far as you can. That's your plie.
That's your plie.
So the more like deeper into that plie you get, the more you use it, the more power you're going to be able to generate to move. Like little things like that.
I use a bow and arrow as an example in PT as well.
I'm like, that's such a good analogy.
Yeah.
Like, especially for me, because I live in a plie. Like, and I'm always trying to get people to live in a plie.
Bend your knees.
Bend your fucking legs. That's my next t-shirt, bend your fucking knees.
Down.
Without the fucking, but bend your knees. But yeah, like, I think being able to use like analogies and stuff.
You should actually have a teacher t-shirt with bend your knees on the back.
Yeah.
Because then everyone's going to be thinking bend your knees.
Yeah, well.
I'll make you one.
You'd think. But yeah, I think like that makes a great teacher if you can find ways to make it relatable to different students, you know?
Something that I've certainly adopted. So I took a kind of foundation life coaching course a year or two ago. And something that I learned from that was to ask more questions. And what I mean by that is instead of just always saying, this is how you do it, this is how you demonstrate, and then you demonstrate it, is going, what do you think you could do better here? What do you think is different here? What do you know, where are you going wrong throughout this movement pattern or whatever, or what could you improve on? So even though you know the answer, you're getting your student to work out the answer for them, which creates this kind of a trust and accountability within their own knowledge. You know, it's like if you're teaching, let's say, a pirouette, not that I could teach a pirouette very well, but instead of saying your weight was here, you could say, where was your weight? You know, were you high enough on your retire?
What did you do wrong?
Was your knee to your...
What could you do better?
What could you do better?
I use this a lot when I'm teaching. I always, if a student says, can you help me? What's this bit? I'll go, show me what you think it is. And they'll show me and they'll be like hesitant. I'm like, just show me what you think it is. And they'll do it. And I'll be like, now what do you think is wrong with this? And I make them figure it out themselves and be their own teacher.
Because then they can figure it out later.
Because then they don't need to ask me next time. They can figure it out, right? They become their own teacher. Therefore, then they become a better dancer because they know how to fix things. Even stuff like what I've been doing quite a lot of recently is getting everyone to partner up and give each other feedback. Because I'm like, if you can correct your peers and you can give your peers corrections, that means you understand what it's meant to be.
What's going wrong, yeah.
Therefore, now you're not only going to make sure you don't do your corrections that you've been given, you're going to make sure you don't do theirs.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
There's I think I mentioned this in the last podcast, I think it's an NLP training, where there's a saying, if you spot it, you've got it.
Yeah.
So if you can spot someone else's error, it means you understand it yourself.
Yeah. I use that a lot.
Yeah, you've done it in class for sure.
And always like, asking them like, what's so like, I'll teach a step and I'll be like, right, how are we going to make this more interesting? What can we use? And they'll be like, you know, you get a lot of the time, especially with younger dancers or beginners, they'll just shout out things which you like, bend your legs.
They think you want to,
They shout out things that you think you want to hear. And I'm like, yes, that's correct. But that's not what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
Like, that's a given for this. But like, what else? You know what I mean?
So like, I've got a 1 in 10 chance of getting this right. I'm going to say something.
I'm just going to shout stuff. So I get like, and I'm like, that's something that they know is correct. Like, bend your knees. I'm like, yes, well done. But they're like, what can you do to get this better? Get it right. Yes. Like
practice.
Solid. Yeah. And when they say practice, I say no.
No?
No, it's the worst advice ever.
Go on, elaborate.
Because
you're practicing something that's
practice doesn't make perfect. Perfect practice makes perfect.
Okay.
Because if you're constantly practicing something incorrect, you're going to get good at doing it incorrect.
If you're incorrect, got you. Makes sense.
Justin Bieber's manager, Scooter Brunt, told me that. In rehearsals.
I like it. But I do think when you're practicing something, you start to understand it more.
Yeah, but if you keep practicing it incorrect without the understanding,
you're always
going to
have a movement pattern wrong.
You're always going to have you're going to create an incorrect pattern. Like, think if someone's been squatting or deadlifting or doing a pirouette wrong for 5 years, how hard it is to undo that.
Undo yeah, I like that.
Yeah, so it's not, practice doesn't make perfect. Perfect practice makes perfect.
Perfect practice makes perfect.
You can have that one, kids. Tell your teachers when they say go home and practice. Say,
Fuck off,
Kane said practice doesn't make perfect. Which I know full well. Like, there's so many times I've like gone home and practiced something and I've got like incorrect technique and I come back and they're like,
what are you doing?
What are you doing? I'm like, I thought that was it. And they're like, no. I'm like, okay, sorry.
I've spent every evening doing this.
Yeah. Spent about 4 minutes every day doing this.
I often practice steps whilst I'm like boiling the kettle or whatever. Those are like my little moments. So like if I'm frying something,
when I was in college, and I lived at my mum's house, which wasn't a very long time, I used to go downstairs in the kitchen, and in the dark I could really see my reflection in the mirror, and there was slidey floor.
Right.
So I used to go downstairs every night when everyone was asleep and practice pirouettes.
Did you?
Yeah.
I often do pirouettes
because there was enough
kitchen.
space where I wouldn't fall and hit shit. And the floor was slippery, so I knew I wear my socks down there. And I'd go down there and I could spot in the mirror, like in the window, and I'd practice pirouettes down there because I really wanted to be good at pirouettes.
Right.
Didn't work. I suck. But
they're hard. So hard.
But again, like I think if you have like a good teacher teaching them, like my friend Rosina, she has a book, Pirouette Surgery. Shout out Rosina. Like she's really good at teaching pirouettes. Like Josh Denyo is really good at teaching pirouettes.
Well,
like
you can do them for days. So
yeah, you can. But just because you can do them doesn't always mean you can teach them.
And I always use, so here we go, as a teaching thing. So I often think, I use this as an analogy often, is who's faster, Usain Bolt or Usain Bolt's coach?
Well, Usain Bolt's faster, but
Usain Bolt's coach has got the knowledge.
Yeah.
And I often think there's this perception that the teacher has to be the best in the room. And I'm not, maybe in dance, again, I'm using this in a very general context, but I think there's a skill in knowledge and then there's a skill in the ability.
yeah.
So often people work at the skill of knowledge and understanding how to make that knowledge relatable and digestible by the consumer, and not actually working at the skill of the ability. So I see this a lot in the dance world. Like, this person shouldn't teach because of X, Y, Z or whatever. And I think there's a demonstration, there is something to say about the skill of, as I said, the skill of knowledge.
Yeah. But I do think you have to be able to execute it to a certain standard.
Yeah, I think dance is one of the fewer categories that you have to be able to do what you say you do, because then the student's not going to be able to understand what's in front of them.
Well, because it's not just about it is about knowledge, but like it's not like science, where it's like a science teacher can tell me how a volcano works, but it doesn't mean he needs to know how to make a volcano. Yeah, like whereas with dance, it's like, you know, a huge part of it is demonstrating.
Yeah,
like,
which is why as I said, I think dance is.
I'm not saying you have to be able to like bang it out, but you have to have some sort of way to be like, it should look maybe something like this. Like otherwise your teaching has to be like phenomenal. To break that down to make someone understand it without having to physically show them or demonstrate at all. Because like a lot of it again, but it also goes back to what kind of learner you are. Because some people are a visual learner. Like I'm visual. Like if I show me it and I'll copy it, like that's easy for me to do. Whereas explaining to me sometimes isn't always the easiest thing.
Do you think?
Because I'm stupid.
No, you're not. Do you think you can be a good choreographer? Do you think you can be a better choreographer than you are a dancer?
Yes, definitely.
Which
Yeah.
that I guess that hones in my point of what I was trying to say earlier. Is like I reckon you can be a really good choreographer and not a great at the skill of dancing.
Yeah, and there are great dancers who aren't great choreographers.
And there's great dancers who are terrible teachers.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, but I do think not having the knowledge that's solid. Like the Usain Bolt analogy is really good. What else makes a good teacher? Knowing, I think obviously as a teacher you need to be able to give feedback to your students. Like you need to be able to correct them and like give them good feedback. But a huge part of giving is knowing when to give. I don't know why I can't talk today. Is knowing when to give the feedback.
Yeah.
You know, like I see sometimes teachers, if they give feedback at all, some don't give any whatsoever, but some might bombard students with feedback, like a specific student with feedback. And that student might not, which is an amazing thing because you're trying to help them and you're trying to make them better. But that student might not be in a position that's ready to receive it yet. Because maybe they're still trying to figure it out. They don't even know what they're trying to do, let alone what they're
trying to correct.
Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
Or and that one correction might throw them off the whole.
Or they're really unconfident and you've gone up and you've told them that they're doing something quote unquote wrong. Maybe how you give the correction is really important as well. Instead of going, that's wrong, you could go, you could do this better, or good job, but try it like this. Like
kind of going back to what we were saying earlier about like how can you make your student understand where they're going wrong through like better vocabulary and better question choices.
Exactly. Like, because going up to someone and going, that's not good, or you're not good enough, or you're not very good, or you're rubbish, or that's wrong. It's like all negatives. Whereas you can make this learning process a positive. You could be like, hey, good effort. Try it like this. I can see you're trying to do it, but just try it like this. If you try it like this, like, don't be like, do this. If is already nicer than do. Yeah. Like,
I think vocabulary choice is so important. Like,
so important. And you know, as teachers, I don't care what anyone says, we all drop the ball at times. Sometimes I say the dumbest shit, and literally within 30 seconds, I know I've said the wrong thing, and you've got to try and backtrack, like without backtracking, you know, because you've got to look confident in what you've said or whatever. But like, you've got to be able to then go up to them like 2 minutes later and be like, that was better. Now try. Like, you have to like kind of save them, like throw them a lifeboat, like, or like life jacket, so they don't like give up on themselves. So I think how you give the correction is really important, but knowing when is key to me, because there's
and how many as well. Yeah, because like something that I've definitely learned in the PT world, let's say I'm correcting a deadlift, if there's 3 things going wrong and I try and correct all 3 in one sentence, they might do one and the other 2 get worse. Do you know what I mean? It's like, so I have to do one and then maybe 2 sets down the line or another set down the line. I go, okay, cool, we did this better. Now let's engage the lats more or whatever. You know, it's like, I choose how many corrections I give one person.
Yeah. And I think always telling your students why.
Yeah.
You know, like, don't just
because
be
then
like,
it gives them the why rather than the what.
Like sometimes, like if we're going from like, you know, in my choreography, I love going from like a plie to like a turn and then going back into a plie position. So if it's just a single, like I always say, like, don't come to your highest releve. Don't come to your highest point like you would in a technical class. And like, you know, that's against everything you're taught in technique. That's against everything you're taught in like a ballet classic. You always try and turn at your highest point, as far as I'm aware of. Like, but I would be like, because, you know, we're not in tights, no one's going to see your bent leg. Like, but it doesn't like, it's not going to make anything easier. You've got to come from your lowest point to your highest point and back down even half a count or 1 count. It's so hard. Let's make it easier. Like, I'll explain why to do stuff. Do you know what I mean? As opposed to just...
less distance traveled, I'm guessing, is the...
Yeah, exactly. Like, instead of going, do this, tell them why. Teach them. Give them the knowledge. Don't just give them the... Like, what is it? You're better off giving someone... It's better to teach someone how to fish than give them the fish.
Yeah.
Like, so I'm trying to always teach people how to fish, you know?
Facts. In terms of kind of going back to language choices, I don't know if this is kind of like shifting slowly, but obviously old school teachers, and again across every board, were very strict and disciplined. You look at gymnastics, you look at, you know, fitness, you look at ballet. Schools, you look at ballet. Very strict, disciplined. I am leader, you are follower.
Yeah.
And to me, like, that never resonated with me. And I do have a little bit of a rebellious streak in me, which is probably why. But the moment a teacher gets strict to me, the more I push against it.
Yeah.
And that is me as a whole. But I do think I've coached for years now. And I think a positive environment will always achieve the best result.
I agree. After seeing many different teachers teach and many different teacher methods, I've never seen lots of people thrive under drill sergeant, under the teacher being the strict teacher, tough love. I've never seen tough love really
Work that well.
Because then it's driven by fear.
Yeah. Fear-generated responses, I don't think works.
It's driven by fear. And then to me, someone in fear isn't going to feel free and have the ability to explore or try something new. They're just afraid of going wrong. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and I say this all the time, like some people are so afraid of making a mistake that they're not willing to try and be right.
Yeah. Which is the general context for most of the people in life, but
Do you know what I mean? Like most people aren't willing to try and be correct because they're so afraid of going wrong. Mm-hmm. Like, like some people won't try and succeed because they're afraid of failure. Like it's the same thing. Like when your teaching method is fear driven and you're shouting at people or you're telling people they're bad and stuff, you're not going to bring out the best in them. Mm-hmm. Like they're not going to enjoy it as much. Like to me, like positive atmosphere, positive teaching methods are a win. I do understand that sometimes like some people do respond better to like those things, but I think it's a very small fraction of people.
Oh yeah. Like I agree. Like there are some people, like I've had this conversation with Nina quite a few times. She responds well to strict teachers. To me, I don't get it. I'm like, if someone tells me to do better, I'll tell them to fuck off.
Yeah.
It's like, to me, I don't get it. But there are a few people who are better in that environment. But I think for the general population, it's positive wins.
Have you, like, if you think back to school, what classes did you like?
PE.
Why?
Because I was good at it. And
Yeah,
I was free to...
But what was your teacher like?
It was nice.
Fun,
all
right?
our PE teachers were fun.
Like, I hated science and maths in school.
Yeah.
Shout out Mr. Carpenter and Mr. Delph.
And so
because you were so strict.
Here's an example.
Constantly telling us off. Like, you know what I mean? There was no fun. There was no encouragement. There was no like, it was literally like, this is times tables and this is what we have to do. Or this is this and this is what we have to do. Like, there was no fun involved. There was no like laughing. Like, I don't even remember the teachers laughing. I remember them playing. I just constantly remember them being stressed and telling us off and making it a stressful atmosphere.
So atmosphere, 100%.
Whereas like my Welsh teacher, I fucking hated Welsh, bro. I hated Welsh.
That language is so messed up.
It's so stupid. And I'm from Wales, and it's so confusing.
I look at the signs and I'm like, what is this?
Dude, my Welsh teacher, Miss Meredith, was so cool. She was so fun. Shout out to you. And my English teacher, Miss Breeze, like, she was a breeze.
She was a breeze.
She was breezy. Like, I didn't like thrive massively in those lessons because I was never very good. What's the kind of way of putting it? With education as in like reading, writing, like learning that kind of formal education stuff. But like, at least I wanted to try for them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because they were nice and they were fun.
An example of a negative teacher. So I never understood rhythm until I started dancing. Obviously, so I started dancing at 21. So I couldn't hear counts, I couldn't hear rhythm patterns, I couldn't hear any of it. And I was in a music class in year 9. I feel like you're about to take the piss out of me.
No, no, I'm not. I support everyone.
Fuck off. And we had to do like drum a beat on a lap, and I just couldn't do it. And she said something like basically calling me an absolute idiot. And I never went to a class after that. That one comment, that one sentence completely threw me off doing music for the rest of my life.
So in college, I was really insecure in ballet. Really insecure. It was my biggest insecurity. Didn't mind jazz. Didn't mind contemporary. Wasn't that fussed. I was really, really insecure in ballet. My first ballet teacher that I had in Wales, her name was Caril. She was actually really lovely. She was great. And then I had, shout out Caril. Actually, do you know what? I hated ballet so much. And this is a great teacher, right? So she couldn't demonstrate everything. She was quite a bigger lady. But she was a really good teacher. She could use vocabulary and explain. And she'd be really enthusiastic. And she was quite scary. Like, she used tough love when it was needed. But, like, she knew that wasn't the way to win me over and for me to enjoy this. And she used to say to me, like, what don't you like about ballet? And in this college, I didn't have to wear tights or anything. I just used to wear, like, joggers and, like... So I don't even know why I was so insecure. I just didn't like, I was like, I just don't relate to it. The music means nothing to me. And she was like, how can I make this more fun? And I was like, I don't know. And she came in a week later, like, because we only had her on a Friday and a Tuesday or some shit. She came in and we did a whole ballet class to like Run DMC and stuff like that. Really? And I had so much more fun. And she was like, see how fun it can be. And I was like, that's a dope teacher. You've adapted.
I still hated it.
But you've adapted. No, but I didn't. I loved it. And I was smiling and I was like having a good time because I related to the music.
That is a really good teacher.
And I was like, that's a dope teacher because you've gone, okay, how do I make him learn? Because I was never going to be a ballet dancer, bro. Like,
you needed the foundation.
And the biggest mistake people think is you have to do ballet to ballet music. Like I get it if you're trying to be traditional and do it like you want to be in Swan Lake, or you want to go to like, you want to be very formal about it. But if you're just trying to make you're using it for dance quality purposes, like how to make your lines better, how to pick up to do better turns, like stuff like that. Like, dude, you can do that to any fucking music. You can do it to no music. So why not do it to music that the class are gonna enjoy it with, right? Like, and she did that for me, and I was like, that was a dope teacher. Then I went to next college, and the first teacher didn't like at all, and she didn't like me just because I wasn't very good, didn't try very hard, but she was never encouraging. You know what I mean? It was just like I wasn't good, so she just went to the good ones. And then I had a guy, and his should I say his name? I've said it on here before. We'll call him Mr. Bell. I won't say his full name. Dude, like he should have been like my hero.
Yeah,
like I remember him being like, he's like 6'2", tall, handsome, like curly hair, looked like Prince Charming, man. Big, he was straight. So I was already like, you can be a straight ballet dancer. Like naive, dumb Kane at like 17, 18. Like, what? You can be a straight ballet dancer? This is crazy. I never, like, that's not the perception of dance that I was brought up with. Like, even me doing hip hop and street dancing, air quotes, hip hop and street dancing, like being straight and doing that was already such a wild thing, let alone a ballet dancer, you know? And dude, he was like so, like everything he did was so amazing. Like he made everything look like so powerful and so strong. I was like, fuck, if
quite masculine in his approach.
Yeah, like I was like, everything, like if there's someone that's gonna make me love ballet, it's this guy. Dude, he's an absolute asshole.
And then, like, again, it's taken that.
I never went back.
With me,
I did his class probably for like 2 years. He taught me. I probably did like 30% of his lessons, 40%.
Yeah.
Like he used to call me Shrek. Like he just was like, and I don't know if for him it was like his way of having banter, but like I wasn't confident enough to have banter with.
No.
I was so insecure. I needed like, you're doing great. You're doing amazing. I needed love and positivity. Do you know what I mean? And then my final ballet teacher, I had Lisa Aldridge. I had her in my last year of like college. Because I just stopped doing ballet after college, obviously. Like she is so encouraging and so supportive. And like, she always would tell me like, you could be like, you're going to be good. You just have to like try. Like you have to just trust me. Like you're going to be great. Everything was like positive. And I always think back, like, and it's really nice because we teach together now. Like we work at the same establishment.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? And we always talk about it. And I always say like, I wish I had you from the very jump.
Yeah.
Because my whole experience of ballet would have been so different. Whereas I was so like conditioned in my own head that I didn't like it from all the negatives that by the time I got to her, it didn't matter.
And I think that's something that I think this is a very general context, but we forget that the way we approach the situation will ultimately mold someone's experience. You know, whether that's parenting, whether that's coaching, whether that's teaching dance, like the way you teach, air quotes, commercial to a first year at college will ultimately, well, not ultimately, but has a lot of influence on how that person's going to receive, air quotes, commercial for the rest of their journey.
Yeah, like I get so many people that I teach, especially at colleges where like maybe air quotes commercial isn't their thing, and they really struggle in people's classes and they struggle to pick up choreography and you know they find it really challenging, and they'll always like, I get it quite a lot where they go, do you know what, I never liked it until I did your class. And like to me that's like such a victory because the first thing before I can make you good is to make you want to be good, is to make you like it, is to make you love it. Like if I can make you fall in love with it, then I can make you good at it. Like that's how I see it. Because if you don't love it, I can't be your motivator. Like
there's a quote that kind of comes to mind. I'm going to absolutely butcher this. The best way to lead is to get someone to do something that you want, but get them to think that they're the one wanting to do it. I butchered the way that was said, but like the idea is like get them to fall in love with it themselves, and it's going to be so much easier to lead them. Yeah, you know, like that. A lot of the time, that's why I ask like people like, what song do you want me to choreograph to? Yeah. Because I know how much of an effect that had on my ballet class. Like, so if I can go song request, guys, what do you want to dance to? Like, and I'll choreograph that next week. I know they're going to come in and be like, yeah, this is my song. Like at performers, they have to do an ab exercise every class. Like they call it like PCE. And they have to do PCE?
Yeah. PCE? Yeah, performers, college, I don't know, PCA or some
I know.
shit. I have no idea, butchered it hard, sorry guys. But they have to basically, it's like a set ab exercise to help them engage their lower abdominals instead of just doing crunches and doing like their
Yeah.
upper, it's to engage there. And like,
So they do that. They do that every class.
I would had an email at the beginning of the year saying, can you make sure they do this every lesson?
Right.
So for me, they do it every lesson.
Yeah.
Like, so I always say to them, right guys, what song do you want on? Because I know like whenever they do it, they all go, oh, like again. So I go, song choices, like
To make it more enjoyable,
and it
yeah.
makes it more enjoyable. Just the simplest thing. And like one kid will be like, I want a bad bitch song, and I'm like, okay. And I'll like find a song.
Bad
and,
bitch.
Like, no. So I'll guess like what his song choice might be, and then like I'll kill it, and he'll be like,
Grandad
yeah, yeah. Like, you know what I mean? Like just stuff like that, and you can see that they enjoy it more, and they're all singing along, even though they hate the exercise. They hate doing it. They probably do it 6 times a day, and they despise it. But for that 3 minutes, they're having a good time.
They're having a good time.
Just because if you're giving them some sort of control.
And the way I often view this, remember what I said about the 7-second approach? I often approach that to my first PT session with a client. Like I always make sure that it's an enjoyable process it's an enjoyable
It's your
process.
audition, bro.
Pardon?
It's your audition.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's also like, yeah, it is my audition as well. But also I make sure that they feel good the next day. Like, I don't beast them.
So they can't move and
So they
go, I
can't
don't want to
move.
do this again.
Because-
But that's the dumbest thing that any PTs do.
But it's so common.
Oh, dude, it's
Like,
so common.
So
but,
common.
but misconception is people think being sore means you've had a good workout.
Yeah, I
No,
mean-
it actually means you've had a terribly structured workout.
And the way I often coach and the way I'll relate this to something else in a minute is, what does this look like in 5 years' time?
Yeah.
What does my behavior install in someone else's behavior in 5 years' time? I was in a relationship with a woman who had a child, and I often came into like a quote parental role, and it really opened up a lot of how I lead. And a lot of the thought process I had was, what does this look like in 5 years' time? And also, why am I coaching, or why am I leading, or why am I parenting in the way that I am? Like, what ego is talking, what insecurity is talking, what experiences in my life has led me to lead in this way. Like,
Yeah.
one of something that came into my mind was the way I was quote parenting was something that my dad used to do, and I didn't like it, so I changed it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And now often that comes across in the way we teach and the way we coach is, what part of me is rising to the situation which is negative.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Again, kind of like a lot of the time teaching from ego is, again, a lot of the time you're probably teaching from a place someone else taught you.
Yeah.
And whether that's a positive or negative is up to you for you to decipher.
Yeah. It's weird, right? How like our experiences as a student, or a student from your parents, or however you're taught in whatever
Yeah.
field, kind of dictate how you might
Teach yourself.
teach yourself or
Yeah.
teach in the future. I also think a good teacher is someone that instills confidence in their students that they can achieve it eventually, even if they can't now. So like, even like you said, what's this look like 5 years
5 years
down the
time.
line? You might not be able to do it right now. Like, I guess so many students go, it's too hard, I can't do it. And I'll go, yeah.
Yet. Vocab choices.
Yet.
Again, going back to
You can't
vocabulary
do
choices.
it, but don't forget. And I remind them, don't forget, that's why you're here. Like, you're here to learn how to do it.
How to do it.
Not to be able to do it. Because if you could just do it, I'm not doing my job correctly because I'm giving you too easier stuff, or you're in the wrong place.
You're in the wrong place.
You know what I mean? Like,
100%.
like you're not meant to be able to just roast this from the jump.
And I often say to people, this took me X amount of time to learn myself.
Yeah.
And you've been here 30 seconds.
Yeah, like whenever I teach in LV, people are always like, oh, it's so hard. And I'm like, guys, the first time I had to do this, I was in the dance class and I got picked out in groups. True story. Like, I was in the dance class on a Monday, I got picked out in groups and I went down in flames because I couldn't get that one
Because
step.
of the LV.
Yeah, but
That
it wasn't
goddamn
it wasn't the
LV.
LV. I could LV. It was like the rhythm that they were asking me to do it in.
Right.
So I know the class was again on Wednesday, so I went home and I practiced both like Monday night and Tuesday night like crazy until I could do it. So by the Wednesday I could do it
Get it down.
in class,
Yep.
and I roasted it. Like, I tell them, like, I didn't get it straight away. I'm not expecting you to.
No.
I was already a professional by then. Like, you know.
And there is, again, I think going back, vocabulary choices is so important. It's like, just saying the word yet, one word, can ultimately determine how that student receives their own ability.
Yeah.
Important shit, bruh.
Super important. And then I guess the last thing would be to make sure that they want to come back. Because if they dread your class, like, you're doing something wrong. It might not be fully down to your fault. They could be like, I always think to be a good teacher, you have to have good students because it's a relationship. It's a two-way thing. Like all we can do as a teacher is encourage you and give you information. It's up to the student to...
You're given tools they got to build.
Yeah, it's up to the student to apply it. Do you know what I mean? But like, ideally, your student should leave going, I'm going to come back again. Even if they didn't go, I fucking love that. They see the value in what
you've done,
or what doing it again is going to do. You know what I mean? I think that's a good one to end on.
Something that I've definitely learned as a teacher and coach is to ask for people's experiences. Like, be honest, like, about, because you're kind of teaching yourself at the same time, really. Whether you're teaching yourself how to teach better or teaching yourself the steps or the movement patterns or whatever, is ask. Like, don't be afraid to ask back from your students or clients or whatever.
Which I did with the program. I asked all the students 1 month, if you give me feedback, what can I do better?
What can you do better?
And they actually all said really, really lovely things. Like, and then like my thing, I did get some feedback. There was like, maybe before the class starts, don't just start. Let's like do a little group. How are you all? Just to kind of bring everyone together and get everyone in the same space. And in my head, that's what the warm up was. But they wanted like a pre-warm-up.
An emotional response almost.
An emotional warm-up, like a welcoming, a greeting. But in my head, I was like, we don't need a greet. We do this every week. Like, do you know what I mean? Or I know you all. We don't need to do a greeting. But actually, the changing that and doing the greeting made a big difference to the room. Kind of unified everyone before we started dancing. It's nice.
Something that I enjoyed of what you did in your last program was that you got everyone to write down what they wanted to work out and what they're already good at. Remind me, what were the questions?
What are you already good at? What are you what do you suck at? And why are you here? And then they have to tell themselves they're amazing. And then every lesson, they had to rate each one of them out of 10 on how well they've done at that thing.
And then you're creating accountability within them. It's their own, it's their relationship with their own development.
But it's not just about then writing down the number. They have to explain to themselves
what it is.
Why they weren't as good this week or why they were better.
And I think that it's such a, like...
Everyone's going to steal my methods now.
Oh, 100%. Sorry, dude.
It's okay.
I think teaching the ability to coach thyself is, a really interesting skill. So something that I do every week. So I go down, I sit in a coffee shop by myself and with a notepad and pen, I coach myself on what I want to work on, what I didn't like about my week, what I liked most about my week. What did I suck at? What was I good at? And it's something it's a pattern that I'm in. And by you doing that, whether or not you knew about it, you're teaching them how to coach themselves. And again, it's creating that accountability for their own development and success.
Yeah.
Important. I think you should do it every program.
Oh,
I think you should do it the next Easter intensive.
No, it's only 2 days.
Why not?
I just want everyone to have a good time.
Okay.
Also, if you want to do the Easter intensive, message me. It's almost sold out.
How many tickets you got in tickets? How many positions you got left?
I think it's like 4 or 5.
Nice.
Yeah.
Let's go, dude.
So, the 11th and 12th of April in Swindon, hosted at Wilkes Academy. You don't have to be a Wilkes Academy student to attend. You just have to be above the age of 16. Unless I know you're really dope and you're mature. Message me.
And on that note, much love.
Guys, subscribe on YouTube to watch us. Subscribe on Apple or Spotify or other podcast platforms or Amazon podcasts to listen.
We're on Amazon, are we?
Apparently.
Let's go.
I've not heard us, but apparently. And follow me at Mr. Bull Change. Follow Jake at Gibson _media_ and follow at the Ins and Outs podcast. More content coming. I hope you like what we've got so far. If there's anything, hey, here you go. If there's anything you want to know or anything you want us to talk about or anyone you want us to talk to, let us know.
Bye.
Oh my God. We are leaving. Oh my God. I said, I might sneeze.
I'm just going to fade this out.
All right. Bye.